Hi, this is CJ with CJatCompRCC.com. I've got everything laid out, and one of the many really nice things about Axial kits is the amount of extra parts they provide. For example, let's say that you wanted to build this kit with no bumpers. You've got two pieces that bolt on identically, have the same little hoop back here, but one of them has the holes for the bumpers and one does not. Now I am going to be using the stock bumper mounts. I'm going to be using an aftermarket set of metal bumpers. If you've seen the video I did on the plans I have for this, the upgrades, you know what they look like, and if you haven't, well, you'll see them on down the road here soon. Another really nice item is the body pin setup they provide. They give you this hoop. Now, if you are building a Dingo, you're not going to use this. So why is it here? Well, if you want to build, and just FYI, the body pins go into the top of these shock towers, which mount to the side of the frame rails. If you wanted to build a Jeep that had a roof, or if you were buying an aftermarket body that also was taller in the rear, not like a pickup truck, you've got that already in your kit. So save all the extra parts. These little guys right here, it's basically a clip for wire. They go down along the side there. I'm not going to be installing those at this time. I'm still deciding whether I'm going to use one of the stock battery placement locations or whether I'm going to do something custom. And exactly which size battery I'm going to be using, that's still up in the air. So I'm going to leave those off, and if I need them, I'll put them in. Otherwise, I may do my own type of wire routing system. One thing to pay attention to is that you have two different types of shock hoops. You have this side, which is symmetrical, and you have this side, which is asymmetrical. You've got a different angle, and if you're holding this body pin so it's straight up and down, you've got a slightly different hole location, and that is for the rear frame rails that are curved upwards. Excuse me, I'm looking at that wrong. That is for the front frame rails. So these pieces switch, and it is a little confusing. They are numbered, but again, for the curve, you need that slight asymmetry so that the body post is going to point straight up. And have I got that? Okay, left versus, wow, there we go. Okay, so again, this is why they call it a builder's kit. Always check. You notice how when I laid this down and I had that pin on there, it's like, wait a second, that body pin's pointing off to the angle. That's not going to work. So lay things out, look at the directions, look at them again. Really be sure. For example, this piece, does it go this way? Does it go this way? Well, if you look at the directions, you can see this groove and this clearly. And it makes sense that you would want to have the part that looks like this facing down. So if you're looking at the bottom of the truck, you've got that little bit of scale looking detail. And our transmission, the motor would be here. And according to the diagram, it faces this way. So now I'm going to go ahead and rummage up the screws I'm going to need. And you're going to find these different parts in different bags. So keep that in mind. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to assemble this one side and then the other. Get everything bolted onto one side. You don't have to torque it all the way down, but get it at least snugged on a bit, and then do the other side. Because once you've put these items inside the rails, you're not going to be able to spread the rails apart and get something in. Bear with me for a moment while I sort. Okay, and obviously I need another bag as well because I'm going to need button heads as well, looking at the diagram. It's definitely worth the time to do this, to sort things out and check, because as you can see, I've got these two that are the same size, And I have one screw in this bag that's different from all the others. Something here does not belong. So I'm going to just take a moment here and review the instructions and figure out where that one lone screw goes. Okay, so I'm going to need 8 of these little button head screws that are over here. And I'm going to need 10 of these. And there's more than 10, so I'm going to have a few of those left over. So let's start with the hoops. And as with the transmission, these are all self-tapping screws, so be careful not to over tighten anything. And yes, I know I've been suffering through with this handle that doesn't have a locking mechanism anymore. The little ball bearing fell out, but in a box that should be coming sometime in the next couple of days, I have a new 2mm driver. There's a lot of holes in this frame rail, so make sure that you are using the right ones. For example, there are 2 holes and 2 holes. Make sure that in this case that you use the 2 rearward holes. That's it for the countersinks for this side. The rest of the screws on this side are all button heads. And lastly, the transmission. It does seem a little odd that we're just using these little button heads to mount the transmission and skid plate, but there are 2 other holes. And as I recall from having read the instructions, those bolts go all the way through and have a nut on the other side. And there we go.